Call this regular meeting of the Southwest Licking Board of Education to order. It is October 17th at 6 p.m. in the board meeting room. We'd like to recognize all of our visitors both here and online. If you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is Mr. Oyster's 8th period science class.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jones, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Moore.
Here.
Mrs. Spindler.
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here.
Mr. Zani.
Here.
Mrs. Engel.
Here. We have a quorum. We can continue. Public participation. We had one request. Mr. Davis, you come to the microphone. If you would please give your name, address, and any group or that you're affiliated with, if that applies, and you will have 5 minutes to speak. Mr. Jones will keep time, and he'll let you know when you have a minute left.
Sounds great. Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Davis. I live at 8807 Watkins Road. I'm a father of 4 daughters that attend Southwest Licking Schools and preschool. I'm here tonight to discuss the RTRI policy that is on the agenda for consideration. Personally, I am against this policy because of the disruption that it will create weekly at the elementary schools. I believe that everyone on the board is probably already aware of the legislation that is being considered at the state level that may mandate schools have a policy like this one that you have in front of you tonight. I applaud the Southwest Licking School Board for being proactive in creating a policy. I would like to focus my time tonight and not spend the full 5 minutes on some possible changes or amendments that I would like to see you guys consider for this policy before adoption. On item 3, I would like just 100% clarity of the, I'm sorry, it's 5. Absolves all liability from Southwest Licking Schools and clearly places the liability to the RTRI program provider. I think this is critical. I don't think there's anything that would be worse on this school district or school board or anybody involved if there was an issue that came back on this district. Number 7, I would like the words from equivalent to be considered to change to the same or identical. I think whatever background checks you guys are doing for the teachers and the school bus drivers, provider, whoever it is, I think that would put a lot of people's minds at ease that they are using the same exact system that our school is. I think that would eliminate any potential concerns. Under 9, or actually I'm adding a couple, sorry. For 9, I'd like to see something along the lines of the program shall be permitted to operate in the intermediate school only. My reasoning for that, I know our K through 3 buildings are scattered, and I don't know the schedules. I know how difficult it is to get a K through 3 child to focus throughout the day, having 2 myself. So I think that would be beneficial, and also in discussing with the middle school time, they don't have recess, so they will only have lunch period. If the high school students want to participate, they can sign themselves out like they do for anything else. But I think if it was stuck to through 4th and 5th grade only, I think that would actually be the best place to stay if you decide to move forward after the trial period. And number 10, I would like to add just a clause that gives the board some actionable items if anything is not followed. Something along the lines of any violation of this policy could incur restrictions and penalties up to and including termination of the program. I think a line like that should be vital because we don't know how many other programs might be coming to do this, and whether the program being considered to start next week or the next program coming down. I want the board to be able to act quickly and legally if anything were to be an issue. So I think you've got a lot to consider tonight. I wish I could stick around for all of it, but I'm running to my daughter's soccer game. They're in the first round of playoffs. So I wish you guys the best. I look forward to the discussion and your decision. So have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep me posted on that soccer game, because I should be there too.
All right, we need a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda as printed, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes, that passes. We have multiple presentations, but the first one we're going to start out with is a retirement presentation for Mr. Scott Parks.
Mr. Jarvis.
And Mr. Jarvis, I believe, is going to help us out with that to start. Right up there. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I've had the privilege of knowing Scott Parks since we first started teaching together at the Eastland Career Center in 1993. Holy cow. After a few years, I moved to Watkins and quickly encouraged him to do the same. During one of his interviews, they told him they were looking for a middle school cross-country coach. He called me and said, "John, I'm a basketball guy. I don't know anything about cross-country." I told him he would love it, and we'd help him with the details. So with Scott now officially being a teacher and coach at Watkins Memorial, he quickly gained his footing in cross-country and has been coaching ever since. First at the middle school and now at the high school, where we just won an LCL title. So I like that. Scott's continued his way of helping with what was needed. Scott has spent his career helping the students at Watkins Memorial. In the classroom, Scott has taught math courses ranging from advanced and honors courses to introductory classes. His calm temperament with students helped many advanced students prepare for their next course in college, and he also gave many students the confidence to pass that one final math credit needed for graduation. He's been an advisor. He helped organize the prom for a number of years. When needed, Scott served as the president of our Teachers Association. Scott does what's needed. I asked a few of our cross-country runners some things to say tonight, and not only did they answer, but they showed up. A group of kids who struggled with some injuries this year said they'd never forget your early morning walks through Pataskala in the summertime. Another said he's always there. You know, from our middle school to our graduation, Coach Parks is there. And he's got that calming voice telling them to believe in themselves. This year, Scott's kind of serving an all-purpose role at our school, going where needed. Just today, he was covering classes for teachers who were out, covering lunch detentions, and when a student in in-school suspension was struggling with their math, Scott said, "We'll send him over to my office and we'll work it out." Scott sat down with them and they figured it out. This sums up Scott perfectly. If something needs done, he'll do it. He doesn't wait for somebody to ask. He takes care of it. And our district is really, really going to miss having you here. I'm going to miss having you. So thank you for all these great years and have fun.
We'll get you a picture. Who wants to go?
Just, Melissa, can you hold on just a second? The board wants to say thank you as well for your tenure, and Mrs. Spindler's going to have a few words.
I have a few words because I've also known Miss Coach Parks for 100%. I might not get through it. I don't even have this prepared. It's off the cuff. I've known him for, I don't know, 15 years. I'm just guesstimating. He's coached all 3 of my children. He's been to 2 of my 3 children's graduation celebrations. One quick story that it's my most favorite story ever is my oldest, who's now in the working world, had surgery in the 7th grade, and she was out the majority of her cross-country season. She was able to rehab her surgery on her foot all the way through, and only got to race in like the last 2 races of the season. We were at Pickerington Central. She was the very last runner, and the entire time she was running, Coach Parks was right there next to her the entire way. And so was the team, cheering her on as she crossed the finish line. And I have never been more grateful for that moment. than I have anything else. And I appreciate everything you've done for me personally and for our district. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
You know, coming out here was a great walk. I mean, like I said, John and I taught over at Eastland for years together, and then he came out here, and one day he called and said they need a math teacher. And so I came out and interviewed with, a lot of you might remember Sam Cook and Terry Coops, two people who exemplified the task law. I mean, they were task law, they were walk-ins. And it's been great ever since. You know, I hear a lot of people say stuff about education these days, how it's bad or changing, and it's not. I mean, I hear people complain about our kids. They're the same kids I went to high school with almost 50 years ago. You know, I mean, they don't change. Education hasn't changed. Our society's changed a little bit. We have good kids. You know, I hear people say, I'm worried about the future with our kids. I'm not worried one bit. You know, we have amazing kids. We have amazing kids at Watkins. We have an amazing school district. You know, people complain and moan and groan about things. You know, we're not perfect, but we're close to it. You know, I've had, as John said, I've had this 10 weeks, I've been kind of a go-to guy, and I've been in a lot of classrooms I've never seen. I've seen more amazing teachers in 10 weeks than I ever did in 25 years, because you never get out to see them when you're in your own classroom. Just all the things that goes on in our school. I've helped a lot with special ed kids, and I'm just amazed at the mentors we have, the students who are in the classroom every day helping these kids. It's just incredible. So, you know, one amendment to John's story is he's the one that made me a cross-country coach and called me on an August afternoon. Him and Marty Dahlman, come on out, we'll get you to do this. And that was 24 years ago. I just want to thank everybody. You know, I've had amazing administrators to work for. You know, being president, I've sometimes had to deal with administration we didn't quite agree all the time. But we always could talk it out. And we came, I thought, to good resolution. So, you know, as a community, I'll say this, you are lucky to have these people running your school district. You know, the school board, but especially Mrs. Perkins and Mr. Jones as treasurer. I mean, I think they are great people. They're honest people, and they try to do what's best for kids. Are we always perfect? And do we never make mistakes? No, but they do a great job. So I think I'll
I got a picture. Do you want? Does he want his wife? Do you want your wife in the picture? Yeah, have her come on up. Yeah, anybody really, whoever you want in your picture.
Yeah. Get out of the way.
Had it prepared.
Oh, we got a few more. We got a few more. We got a few more.
It was Jamie.
Yeah, I don't need to be in the picture. There you go.
Here comes the little,
Back here with
here
you.
comes
That
little
sounds good.
Jamie and the little like four-wheeler that follows the last runner, and there he is, the whole entire way.
Are we good? Good.
Thank you.
Oh, that was fun.
All now we have a WMHS band and choir presentation.
Is it okay if we just stand right here and hold the microphone?
Hold the microphone, that way the
People online
online
can
can hear you. Perfect, thank you.
First of all, wow, what awesome educators we have in this district. How fantastic to see that. Good evening, everyone. I am Greta Klaus. I am a parent of Griffin, a 10th grader, and Grady, an 8th grader here in this district. Love being in this district. And this year, I'm also the co-chair of the Watkins Memorial Band Boosters fundraising for a special trip. I do want to point out that Andrea Flowers Anderson is here. She can wave there as my co-chair of this committee. And Ms. Patterson is here this evening, our choral director. Mr. Davis and Mrs. Smiley could not be here tonight because they're at marching band practice right now, getting ready for the football game tomorrow night. So without further ado, I brought some students here who have some very exciting news to share with the board and with our community, but you don't need to hear it from me. I'm going to turn it over to them.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Sydney Hobbs. I'm a clarinetist in the Watkins Memorial Band, lots of them. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, and we're happy to share all of our info with you.
Hi, I'm Griffin Klaus, a sophomore at Watkins, and I play the trombone in the marching band, jazz band, and wind symphony.
I'm Jessa Shar, a junior and a singer in the Watkins Choral Department. I sing in the vocal ensemble a cappella club and perform in the Watkins plays and musicals.
My name is David Martin, and I'm a senior in the Watkins Memorial Marching Band and the Wind Symphony. And today we are here to talk to you guys about our band and choir because we're going to London.
Thank you so much. Please check out this short video so that you guys can get as pumped as we are for this celebration of a lifetime.
Last Tuesday, we officially accepted an invitation from two gentlemen from London who traveled here for this special announcement. The Watkins Band will be marching and performing in the London New Year's Day Parade on January 1st, 2026. We will be one of two high school marching bands representing the entire state of Ohio. Yet this is bigger than just Pataskala. It's a global stage for Ohio.
This parade is viewed by over 400 million people on television each year, and over 1.5 million people line the streets of London to view the parade in person.
We're so excited to support the band in the parade, plus the Watkins Choir will participate in the International Choir Festival, which is a week-long New Year's festival that offers young singers from overseas the chance to perform in London's famous concert venues. The festival includes a grand finale gala concert where all the festival choirs will perform together in the Southwark Cathedral with a Young Musicians Symphony Orchestra. I can't wait.
We are so grateful that our band director, Mr. Robert Davis, had inquired about the trip and helped make it happen. This London organization is very selective about who they accept in the parade and choral festival. Plus, we found out that they don't have marching bands over in England because their version of football is very different from ours. They love seeing American marching bands.
The last time the Watkins Band went on a trip like this was over 20 years ago when our percussion instructor, Ross Music, went on a band trip just like this. Now, that was a long time ago, but we're very excited to create memories just like his when we go.
The cost for each student is just over $4,000, but the price includes 6 nights in London, hotels, flights, sightseeing, a New Year's Eve party, breakfast and dinner each day, plus the parade and choir festival. The price even includes getting our instruments overseas.
Now, we know that there are a lot of different kinds of families in Pataskala, some who can afford this trip and some that it just won't work out. So the band boosters want to make sure that this trip is feasible for every student. Traveling abroad can open up a whole new world of experiences for every single kid, and the band boosters want to make sure that every student can attend, regardless of their home financial situations.
I bet you're wondering why I would even be here today, because I'm a senior and I'll be graduating at the end of the school year. I don't even get to go on this London trip, but I wanted to be a part of this presentation, and here's why. I know how much time and commitment it takes to be a part of the marching band. We work so hard to make an amazing band for our community. Even though I don't get to go, I want to help make this happen for our band and choir. It's such an amazing opportunity, and it's really going to take everyone in Pataskala, Columbus, and beyond to make this dream a reality. I'm ready to do my part, and we hope you are too.
So I bet you are sitting there thinking, wow, this is incredible. How can we as the Board of Education and the Pataskala community help make it happen? Well, we're glad you asked. We have a hefty and big goal of raising $250,000 in the next 15 months. How are we going to do that? We're going to do it in a few different ways.
We have raffles. We've already kicked off a raffle where you can purchase tickets for up to 2 chances to win a week in a luxury waterfront condo on Myrtle Beach, and you don't even have to be present to win. We also have events. We have lots of ideas for some fun events in the upcoming months, including a Pataskala Pizza Showdown, car show, British Invasion dinner, and more.
As well as donations. Thanks to Zeffy.com, we have set up a donation page similar to GoFundMe, except that we get 100% of the donations without losing any money to fees. And finally, corporate sponsors. We are going to reach our goal by getting corporate sponsors. We have set up a tiered donation plan for businesses, and trust me, everyone will know that these businesses are supporting our band and choir.
And that's really why we're here today. We wanted to let you, the Board of Education, know about this amazing opportunity that we get to have and to ask you for your help. Do you know of a business that you could reach out to and ask about your corporate sponsorships? Since the Band Boosters is a 501c3 organization, your donation is completely tax deductible. We brought in forms that show the different levels of support that we'll pass out to you in a minute.
You could purchase raffle tickets and spread the word on your social media platforms. This trip to London is a great opportunity that we want everyone to know about. Our Watkins Band website has all of the info you need, plus links for donations. Finally, we want to say that all of us love and appreciate being in a district that supports the arts. It's a huge part of all of our lives, and I know personally, because of the band program, I want to go into music in college.
Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your time, and we hope that you can help us show the entire world how amazing the Watkins Memorial Band and Choir are as they represent the entire state of Ohio on a global stage. Are there any questions this evening?
I mean, I just want to say that was like a very, very well put together presentation.
Thank you.
And a big thank you.
Nice job, ladies. Nice job.
Yes, you did a great job. They're just passing out the corporate sponsorship forms.
Okay.
If you know of any businesses that you think would like to support us, please share it and pass it along. As well as the little yellow square there is an easy way to scan that QR code and buy some raffle tickets.
Awesome.
We had a wonderful grandma
Thank you.
of a
Appreciate
band
it.
student. She owns 2 different rooms in this luxury condo in Myrtle Beach and is giving it to us completely free of charge. Each week is worth $7,000. We're going to be drawing 2 tickets. The first one's for a 3-bedroom condo. The second one is for a 1-bedroom condo. Educators, come on. That sounds good, right? You need a break. And so that's an opportunity to support us. That's our first kickoff raffle, but we will be doing lots of things in the next 15 months. We know $250,000 is a hefty goal, but we are shooting for the stars here. And we know with students like this and our awesome community that we can reach it. So thank you so much for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming out. Thank
and
you.
we're going to head out because these kids have to go to marching band practice still. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a 2022 Watkins choir grad that spent a summer in London who would love to go as your chaperone. All right, how about our food service presentation?
Well, that was a very tough act to follow tonight. But I do have a presentation behind you here. And my name is Cindy Pickering. I'm the food service director, just doing my annual food service report to the board. I'm going to try to make it very short but informative, hopefully. All the pictures that you see in my presentation are taken from our school kitchens. That one happens to be from the WISC building. So for this school year, we are doing free, reduced, and paid eligibility again. Anybody who is reduced, though, still this second year gets their meals for free. This is something that the government has given us for the last 2 years across the nation. They only approved that for 2 years, so I don't know if it's going to be effective next year or not, but hopefully it will be. Our meal prices to parents have been unchanged for 6 straight years, so we are at $1.25 for breakfast, $2.75 K-5 for lunch, $3 at middle school, and $3.25 for the high school. We do offer a la carte for grades 1 through 12. We took out the kindergarten this year just to help with the lines and with some parent requests. Our meal counts are shown up there. It looks a little off from where I did it, but anyway, it shows I compared this September with last September, and we're just remaining consistent. We're about 100 more lunches per day than we were last year. The percentage beside that is the participation percentage, because obviously enrollment changes, so that helps track where we are with participation. So we're at 55% this year. Breakfast is down just a little bit, and a la carte as well, which, like I said, with the kindergarten taken out, that changes that a little bit. Pataskala and Kirkesville have the highest breakfast participation, which is at 30 and 27%. And then the middle school has the highest lunch at 61%. We do continue to offer quite a variety for our menu. As you can see, we have anywhere from 4 to 8 options daily. That picture is taken at the intermediate school, and that's just for the cold options. And those little tags that are hanging there have a different option, and right there I think are like 9 maybe. So for cold options, there's like a banana bread and yogurt combo, chicken wraps. I hope you're not hungry right now. And then turkey sandwiches. There's a variety of salads and some bagels. We do offer a vegetarian option daily at every school, and we have accommodations for allergies. There are about over 300 students that have food allergies in our district, which is a little difficult to manage, but we are able to accommodate. There are going to be some changes in the USDA regulations. Next year, they are going to look at milk, cereal, and yogurt, and they're going to reduce the added sugar that they're going to allow. It's just going to change some of the products that we serve. I think Lucky Charms falls off, and Fruit Loops and things. We'll have plenty to be able to offer. And the milk industry, about 90% of the milk industry has agreed to change their formulas as well to be able to help schools with that. In 27-28, they're going to do some more changes. The weekly added sugars are going to have to go down for everything across the board for the menu. And then they're going to lower sodium once again, which they just did not too long ago. And all that does sound great, but as you know, when you go into the store, if it is low in sugar, it might be high in fat. And just one thing cancels out another. If it's low sodium, then they might put some other chemical in it to make it taste better. So we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on that with our products. Our student meal debt, at the beginning of the school year, we were at a zero balance. We were able to pay that off from our donation account. And as of now, we have about 190 students that do owe $1,700 or more. And that is something that we do actively pursue. We reach out to parents and we try to get them to apply. These are students that have not applied for free and reduced or have applied and been denied due to excessive income. We do still serve meals to students even if they do not have money on their account. If they come through the line and want a lunch, we will still give them a lunch. This is our free and reduced percentage. As you can see at the bottom, our district is at 40% overall. That number beside 31% is our community eligibility provision. So if any parents sometimes wonder, why do districts around us offer free meals to their parents? It's that number right there. So I've always been told it's not a financially sound decision to offer free to everybody unless your percentage in your school district is around 60 or 65%. You would not break even. So what that means is if we tried to do it at this rate, those meals I told you, like at the beginning, if we served 2,500 meals a day, with this percentage, we would pay for probably half of those as a district. The government would pay for half of those, and we would pay for the other half, which would be a tremendous amount of money.
Cindy,
Yes.
not to back up, but can you share the Medicaid difference in the 31 and 40%? So they understand what that means.
They did add Medicaid in the last couple of years, which has drastically increased that percentage number. Now on that 31%, that includes anyone that's directly certified. So that's people that the state gave us because they do qualify for a certain program. But on the 31%, it takes out anybody that applied with an application for income. So you can't count those when you're looking at your overall percentage. And like she was saying, our number, that 40%, is a little bit, looks way more than it has been in the past, and that is simply because they've added Medicaid into that. Medicaid free, and they also offer Medicaid reduced, which they never had before as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
As far as our staffing goes, we are fully staffed. We have 28 staff members and about 8 subs that sub regularly. We did attend a couple food shows recently, the GFS food show and the School National event in Newark. We received continuing education there, did some networking and sampled new products, and we did, again this year, take 2 of our head cooks to each of those meetings with us. That's us at the GFS ship. As far as farm to school goes, we've been working in connection with the middle and high school agriculture programs. We were recipients of the Grow Ohio grant this year. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but we do receive daily produce from the middle school agriculture program, and it's a nice full circle. So the students grow the produce and they harvest it, they give it to our cafeteria preps it and serves it to the students, and then any scraps that they get from that prepping and everything goes in. The ag culture students come back and get that, and they take it to the compost, and they use that as well. You can see the list there of all the produce that we've gotten from them so far in September and October, and there's a couple pictures there of their lettuce and peppers. This is just something from the Ohio Farm to School quarterly newsletter, and I just thought this was really exciting because these are the recipients of the award, and you can see those huge districts on there like Cincinnati Public Schools and Cleveland School District, and then down there is Southwest Licking Local Schools. So I'm very happy that we were able to get part of that grant money. There's some more of the produce. You can see the lettuce on the right from the hydroponics system that she has growing. There's a harvest of the carrots. They got quite a bit of carrots all at once. Actually, Carmen and I are gonna have to go over and help with those next week because that's a lot to prep. There's some more produce from the ag program. And there's some more harvest. And then we are also working in conjunction with Bernie's Farm Market here in Pataskala. So for October and September, they have been providing us with some produce as well, the ones that are listed there. And cleverly, the Etna, that was the one on the right is from Etna, and they made the tomatoes in the shape of an E for Etna when they served them that day. But they've been nice enough to actually deliver those to each of our buildings. There's some more produce from Bernie's. And then just on October 10th, we celebrated Apple Crunch Day, and we got some apples from Lynn Fruit Farm. There's a picture on the left is Carmen and Mr. Lynn at the fruit farm and loading up the apples, and we were able to give those to all of our buildings. There's some of them celebrating. We even had some baked apples out of them. They give us, I think, 5 different kinds of apples to share. And lastly, just to be in compliance, the state law does require that I let you know that we are still following the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program. The 80% of all of our grains offered are whole grain. We do offer versus serve, which means the kids get 5 food groups offered daily, and they have to take at least 3, and one of those has to be a fruit or vegetable. And then all of our fruits and beverages sold throughout the school day have to follow the USDA Smart Snack guidelines. And that is all I have. Thank you for your time and support. Any questions for me? Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So meal prices, you feel that the prices that we have are sustainable, like you don't foresee any price increases or anything like that in the near future?
Yeah, the good thing is that we were able to get our balance to a point where we wouldn't have to increase prices. So as long as that is staying current, we are good to go. It did help when COVID hit. We were able to have so many free meals. Those were all 100% reimbursed to us.
Okay.
And then on top of that, the government gave us extra funding to help with the pandemic. So that kind of padded us a little bit to be able to do that. And so we haven't seen a need to be able to increase those prices yet. And we watch that kind of on a monthly basis as far as how much food costs and going out, because obviously $1.25 doesn't always cover the breakfast. So we're probably paying for part of that, but we have enough in our cash balance now to be able to do that.
Okay, and I got two more.
Sure.
Are we still crediting for lunches? Like if you buy, was it $20 or $20?
$35, you get an extra one.
$35, do you still get that reimbursement?
Yes, that's through our third party, My School Bucks. So that's their program kind of that we have turned on for them. So yeah, I think it is 20 if you buy 20. So it's different at each school building as far as the money amount goes. It's based on whatever their price is. But yes, it's 20 and then they get one free lunch. So it should kind of help with that price.
Okay, and then my final question kind of goes back to My School Bucks. I'm not a huge fan of them, and I was curious if we are looking at any other companies that provide services, because they've had over the last year or so just some random fees and things that they did not make a lot of sense, other than it's just something that My School Bucks was doing. So I was curious if we are looking at any other opportunities out there.
Yes, I appreciate that question, because actually we just did a pretty in-depth review of trying to look at other companies to do that, just for that reason, to try to compare them. We brought Pay Schools in, and they did a presentation for us, and we looked at the costs involved. And so one thing to note about My School Bucks is it's owned by the mother group, which is Mosaic, or Heartland. And so if you change My School Bucks, you also need to change the point of sale program that belongs with that, and the back of house program that belongs with that. So not only did we have to look at the My School Bucks, but we had to look at other places to get those options as well. And we got kind of far with them, but there were some things that they could not offer that My School Bucks offers.
Okay.
And when we looked at it from, I have a spreadsheet I'm happy to share with you, but I have a spreadsheet where we kind of looked it up and looked at the costs involved in doing all of those, and it just wasn't going to be cost effective to switch all of those over into something else. My School Bucks kept proving to be the one that kind of won out on that. But as far as the cost of parents go, they actually were pretty similar, even because everyone is going up right now. And so once everybody else is going up, they're kind of similar to where they are, even though to us, like you said, it's gone up a couple times.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a quick note, I don't know that everyone knows this, but you all are self-sustaining. You are not funded by our general fund budget money. So people need to kind of remember that as well, that your goal and task is to be self-sustaining. Lunches purchased sustains the program.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
And how about our building continuous improvement plan, Etna Elementary?
I have to say, I'm not normally nervous, and sitting over to the side and looking at everyone makes me a little nervous. Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. Before moving into our continuous improvement plan, I would like to briefly review last year's report card data. We received an overall building rating of 4 stars, which exceeds the state standards. Our achievement scores are not as high as we want them to be, but we have maintained a consistent rating of 4 stars and are focused on improving this, along with our early literacy component, which was again a 3-star rating with an overall score of 75%, along with an increase to our improving literacy percent. The last component of our report card is gap closing, in which we received the highest rating of 5 stars for reducing the educational gaps for students' subgroups. I am proud of the hard work of our students and staff, especially the continued progress of our EL students. Students test out of needing EL services based on the OELPA, which is Ohio English Language Proficiency Assessment. The passage rate was 14% for the state in grades K through 3, compared to Aetna, which was a 57% passage rate. This reflects the incredible dedication and collaboration between our EL specialist, Derek Hinkle, and our entire staff. Now moving on to our CIP. The first part of our CIP focuses on student learning. We continue to use professional development and opportunities for collaboration on the science of reading and Orton-Gillingham approach, the use of student data to inform instructional planning, and staff-led professional development to share their expertise. For example, Lindsay Riegler led a fantastic professional development on vocabulary development and strategies. The district continues to do a fantastic job on structuring waiver days to provide specific professional development in areas that have helped our teachers continue to grow as strong reading instructors and data analysts. The district continues to partner with Dr. Stephanie Stoller, who has helped the elementary buildings immensely as we work creatively to target instruction at individual student levels. And the elementary building leadership continues to develop, to collaborate to execute best practices for students' growth, sharing insight into what is working or isn't working within each individual building. Aetna has 6 staff members trained in Orton-Gillingham, and we have a 7th staff member going through the training this school year. And again, we'd like to thank the district for their continued commitment in this training area. We have revamped our approach to teacher-based team meetings this year. We have moved to look at MTSS through a grade level lens, allowing grade level teams more time to collaborate, discuss data, and make informed instructional decisions. This change is a positive step in the right direction, and we look forward to seeing student growth in both reading and math. We also maintain a strong focus on vocabulary acquisition with multisensory instructional practices. The last action step for student learning involves using vertical trend data to determine the root cause of instructional gaps and develop action steps. We have started working through our 3-year trend data with OST, with our building leadership team to determine their strengths, focus areas, and problem solving to address those gaps. We continue to hear positive feedback during our 2nd year of implementation on 95% phonics program. Our fall Acadians data is really exciting and encouraging as we continue to implement this program. And we actually have a very large amount of our kindergarten students who are already reading CVC words, which is really exciting considering it's only October. The second part of our CIP focuses on student experiences. We continue to find ways to provide students with a variety of experiences to create unique opportunities to increase student engagement, such as quarterly immersion days, STEM week, career exploration, a fall and spring running club, and events such as author visits and attending the Columbus Symphony Orchestra performance. Our goal is to provide as many experiences as possible, especially for those students who might not otherwise have the opportunity to do so outside of school. Our teachers are truly leading our kids to amazing experiences. And the last part of our student experience centers around the implementation of PBIS. This year, our PBIS team will continue to focus on data collection from student behavior and targeting interventions. Our PBIS team will focus on learning more about trauma-informed practices. We continue to administer a tiered fidelity inventory to assess how we are doing overall with PBIS and allow the team to address specific areas of the inventory. We use Character Strong to teach SEL and focus on a character trait each month. Students from each class are recognized monthly for demonstrating the focused character trait. We have also started incorporating conversation starters that focus on our character trait in our restaurant-style lunch experience that is now called The Nest. That was newly named by our students. The last action step for student experience discusses attendance and community partnerships. We are making efforts to reach out to families before attendance becomes an issue. We've made multiple home visits this year, and before school started this school year, we visited many homes of students with past attendance concerns to check in and provide assistance in making connections with any wraparound services they may need. Overall, we're continuing to improve each day, and I look forward to providing future updates on our student learning and student experiences. Do you have any questions? None?
Thank you.
the Building Continuous Improvement Plan for Watkins Middle School.
Wanted to shout out the work that Ms. Pickering is doing with food services with our building too. It's amazing. I think they started a compost project this week, and they've been collecting about like 150 pounds of compost as a part of that whole process. So it's been awesome to see that. So thank you for the opportunity to kind of share our building goals for this year in terms of where Watkins Middle School is at. We got a 3.5-star rating out of 5 on the state report card. You know, we're proud of some of the things going on. A lot of work still to be done. And so a lot of our CIP goals and action steps are all centered around how we're going to make some progress in that area. So just to highlight some of the things that I know in the last board meeting that were brought up, our 6th grade math and 8th grade science scores continue to score significantly above expected growth. It was brought up that our algebra scores, you know, we had a 100% passage rate, as they should be with that particular group, but I would point out too that 93% of those kids scored advanced or accelerated, which is about a 24% increase from what it had been 2 years prior to that. All of those areas, in addition to 6th grade ELA, are above pre-pandemic levels. 8th grade math and ELA also demonstrated that they met growth expectations, and ELA in 7th grade was close to that end. Where do we still need to do work? For 6th grade ELA and 7th grade math, even though some of their achievement scores are, you know, above where some of the state scores are at, our growth scores need to continue to improve in those areas. And so we're taking a hard look at a lot of different things in that particular area, in that realm. So this could include different scheduling models. You know, this can include a lot of different things. So our CIP structures include hard looks at data analysis and how we're informing our instructional practices. We are excited that we are implementing a new curriculum with ELA this year, and that mirrors and maps exactly to what the high school is using. We are working with outside consultants. We are looking at trends and practices in similar districts to reevaluate what our building schedules, systems, and staffing all could potentially look at. So everything's on the table. So as far as our student learning strategies, our first strategy there involving our use of high-quality student data. This year we implemented a TBT framework that mirrors the Ohio improvement process. So staff have already started this process. They've identified problems of practice and are working towards identifying action steps to implement you know, interventions in terms of how they want to approach those problems of practice. You know, a big piece when we did our share out at our last staff meeting was there was a reoccurring theme of writing, right? Everybody looking at writing, social studies, science, obviously ELA, even some of our electives. Even we have some math in the 6th grade level. They're looking at how we can write more in math in some instances. So that framework is supposed to help us with the problem solving aspect of where we want to go with that. Last year, through our MTSS process, we were also able to identify a lot of the gaps that we were running into in terms of struggling students had to do with what we call executive functioning skills. This past summer, our leadership team, in conjunction with our school psychologist, did a book study on a book called Smart But Scattered Teens. And what we wanted to look at was how can we boost and support kids that are struggling with how to do school. And so we looked at Tier 1 supports for kids across the board. We're trying to beef up our intervention supports. So within our focus block, we have actually 3 groups of kids that are students that we've targeted for executive functioning interventions. And then in addition to that, we've also tried to expand our communication with families to mirror the practices we're using in the building so that they can support them at home too. And so a lot of that's being facilitated by our school psychologists. And then we've also continued a practice of having kids email their parents home every single week what their grades are. So that's something we're continuing. Some are a little better at that than others. But that is something that's been helpful in terms of bridging that gap. Our second strategy in terms of identifying or continuing to identify and utilize our literacy implementation and our PBL initiatives. We last year rolled out our Writing Revolution framework. That was something, you know, 6 through 12 that a lot of people got exposure to. We really latched onto that at the middle school, and we've continued to expand that. ELA classes, we're obviously utilizing those, but our social studies teachers bought all in on that, and we've seen a lot of great collaboration between ELA and social studies as a result of that. We're looking to reevaluate what writing looks like in some of those classes outside of the language arts classroom, right? Trying to build up volume. How can we increase stamina in writing? How can we increase the level of detail that students are using? We think that that's a really great area to focus in to help boost our achievement and our growth. We also are kind of tracking building trends and looking at, when we pop into classrooms, what are we seeing across the board in terms of literacy instruction, in terms of PBL, even executive functioning and differentiation. PBL as an approach has been something that's kind of been my baby since year one that we've tried to implement. This is a methodology that, like I said, is near and dear to my heart, and it's something where we've had a lot of great pockets of success. I think the most visible evidence of that is our ag program, right? Great, PBL in action. It's fallen a little flat in some capacities, and so we're trying to step back a little bit and revamp and see how we can kind of boost it a little bit more. We've seen a lot of success, as I said previously, with ELA and social studies teachers collaborating pretty heavily across all 3 grade levels to utilize more project-based learning approaches. And so by shrinking the focus a little bit, our hope is to have a little bit more immediate success in that end. And now for our student experience. I do feel like in terms of where we were at from year 1 to year 4, this is probably the area we've had the most growth in, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've moved into a beautiful new facility, right? We have more space, we have more opportunity to provide, incentive, activities, things of that nature, and so that's been very helpful. Last year, I think, we started doing a lot of class meetings. We started doing a lot of things where we were sharing out our building-wide data to not only staff, but students as well, and looking at a way to reflect on that, but also celebrate a lot of the positives. And so we do this pretty regularly, and we feel like we've really beefed up in terms of what the positive, and always recognizing that kids are doing in the building, and staff for that matter. And so we wanted to add to that this year by kind of, again, going back and re-looking at our PBIS matrix. We talked a lot about, different processes and what's office referral level versus classroom managed, and tried to provide some guidance on that end. We had to remember that probably 2/3 of the staff has been hired in the last 5 years in a very large building, so it's always good to go back and look at kind of your root parts of what make your building what it is. And then, in addition to that, we've had some turnover in our front office, so we've had to train a lot more on some of our restorative practices. And we really want to aim to not keep that housed just in the front office. We want to expand that out into classrooms and see how we can make that more building-wide to that end. I would like to point out, too, in terms of positive recognitions, our attendance incentive. We do a homeroom attendance incentive every month for kids. They track their own data as a homeroom, and the average percentage for whatever the homeroom is gets put into a drawing. And if you come to, I would encourage you to come on out to our class meetings, because that auditorium gets raucous and loud and really excited when there's donuts on the line for attendance. But I would say that, our excessive and habitual absence rates did decrease by almost 10% across the board there. So that was, coming out of the pandemic, that was awesome to see that, and I do correlate a lot of that to that incentive. We brought clubs back, this year. We had a little hiatus last year. A lot of it's aiming to build community and again, improve that student experience. And then our last strategy in terms of our PBIS practices, we found that we struggled a little bit with buy-in from students across the board with our PBIS ticketing system. Younger kids really bought into it. They liked, we had a cart. We did a lot of different activities with it. But just logistically, we weren't getting the buy-in we wanted. And so we didn't have to look too far. The high school implemented a PBIS ticketing card. We loved the idea with it, so we stole it. And as a result, we have implemented that punch card system where students can earn their Warrior punch card for, and it has a certain number of punches on it based on their academics, their attendance, their behavior, things of that nature. And so, so far, it seems like it's really taken off, especially with our older kids. and our buy-in seems to be a lot better to that end. So stay tuned for that. Any questions?
No questions, but a comment. Nice work on the executive functioning, particularly at that age level. That I'm sure is.
Sure. Still working on it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Request to speak on agenda items. First up, we have Jen Hare, and if you will come to the microphone. You'll need to say your name and address, and if you have any group affiliation, if that's something appropriate, and Mr. Jones will give you 5 minutes.
Awesome, thank you. Good evening, my name is Jen Hare, and my address is 6649 Palmer Road, Etna, 43046, and I am a Watkins parent. I have 4 sons. I have 2 that are recent graduates from Watkins and have received their entire education in the district. And I have a son who is a senior and also an 8th grader. And I just wanted to speak this evening for a couple minutes about our family and why we're here in Southwest Licking Schools. My husband actually works very near to Upper Arlington, and when we were deciding a long time ago where we wanted to establish our home and where we wanted our kids to go to school, we looked at different school districts. We looked in Gehanna, and we looked in Westerville, and we looked in Upper Arlington and other surrounding communities. And we are both Watkins graduates as well. And when we looked around at the schools and what the feel was of the school and what the feel was of the community, this is where we wanted to land. This is where we wanted to be because of the actual community. And earlier they mentioned teachers like Terry Koobs and Marty Dahlman, and just some amazing people that impacted my life here, that it was neat hearing their names this evening. But one of the things that's so special about our schools is the community and the way that we function differently than maybe some of the different school districts, the larger school districts. And specific examples of that for me are when we went through COVID and our administration and our school board said, you know what, we're bringing our kids back to school, or if you're more comfortable, you can keep your kids at home and you can use a digital academy. And we gave our families choices for that. And that was such a beautiful, lovely thing. And other school districts were just not doing that. And then the next year, you guys said, you know what? If you want to send your kid to school, you get to decide. Do you want to wear a face mask? Do you not want to wear a face mask? And other school districts were not doing that. And so I love that we have a school district, an administration, and a school board that gives our families opportunities to choose opportunities for their children. And specifically with the RTRI and specifically the LifeWise program, I have seen firsthand through family and friends the enrichment of that program. And our teachers work really hard in this school district to provide a very enriching experience for our students. Yet, with so many needs and so many responsibilities, sometimes you need a little helping hand with those sorts of things. And so, as a parent, I am planning to volunteer and to just come alongside students to make them students of high character and students that help their teachers and help their students and help their classmates, not their students. And so I, as a parent and also as a volunteer, would just like to ask you to do the things that you've already been doing, to not do the same things as other school districts, but to really think, what would be a good thing for our students here? What would be the right thing to do for our families? And I think it's lovely that families get to choose what is the right thing for their students. And if it's not for them, they can say no, it's voluntary. And if it is for them, that they can say yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you already for your vote for LifeWise. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes, so thank you too to Mr. Pratt. I know that it does take extra work to get something moving and going, and so we just really want to say thank you so much as parents. Thank you for what you guys do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond. And I don't want to stop anybody from talking. I don't want to do that. But I want to reiterate that this board has already made a motion for the LifeWise program for the trial. And unless something else would be brought back on the table, which is not on the agenda tonight, there's no motion to stop that trial from happening. So I just wanted to reiterate that. We did not put the policy in place when we were supposed to, when we should have put the policy in place. So this is a legal follow through for a policy that should have been put in place prior to us agreeing to do the trial. So I just.
May I say something?
No.
In response to that?
You can't, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
If we do, then we have to let everybody talk, so. All right, Mr. Amy.
I guess, is this on?
It's only for the people at home.
It's only for the people at home. People don't hear you from
Amazing.
that microphone.
I
But
understand.
your name, your address, any group affiliation, and Mr. Jones will give you 5 minutes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Matt Ramey. If you look me up, it might be under Larry Ramey. Because I grew up with the age of the Three Stooges. And so, Larry, so I went by my middle name, Matt. So Larry Matthew Ramey. This is what I do. The smart but scattered, I'm like average but scattered. My address is 415 Trail East, Pataskala, or Etna, Ohio. And my family has lived in the school district. I have 4 children. We've lived in the school district for did I miss any information about myself?
Group affiliation, if any.
Oh, group affiliation. I don't know that I have anything official. So I have 4 children. Oldest is 23. He he attended Southwest Licking Schools his entire life. Also had one graduated last year. My oldest son graduated, just kind of echoing what Jen said. 2020 is when he graduated, and actually one of our awesome memories is this school district showing up in a bus and hopping off the bus. I have a video on my phone if anyone wants to see it. I didn't make a hype video, so I figure that would be good. But yeah, that's a great memory that we have. We love the school district. It's been a big reason why that we, though I've had opportunities through work, I work for Coca-Cola, I've had opportunities there. We've chosen to stay in the school district because we love it. We have amazing memories here. I have 4 children, all of them in Southwest Licking Schools. I've coached football in the school district. I've coached basketball. I'm a frequent flyer in the Watchdog program. So I kind of date myself here, but when Mr. Pratt started the program, and I think it was David Ortiz he brought in, I was there that first year, so I'm a frequent flyer since then. But it's all of these things that I'm talking about right now that makes this community great. And it's also, like what Jen said, it's the reason that we're here. This community is special. And I think that with LifeWise, we do have a real opportunity to supplement the amazing things we're already doing, to just complement it. And I have a bad habit of arguing against things that I'm trying to represent, because I want to never like the straw man argument. And so I actually, when I heard LifeWise was coming in and saw all the awesome videos and stuff, I went to Bloom Carroll School District and sat in for a few classes, and I watched it in action. And just absolutely, I went from being interested in something to being excited about it. So like Jen, I'm one of those parents that plan on being involved and partaking and being right alongside the program and helping. And then I know, like I said, every single opportunity like this comes with its risks. It's not that it's without risks. I watched all the videos. I went to the Parents Against LifeWise and really tried to understand the concerns there, and I sympathize with all the testimonies that I heard there and everything. But at the same time, I personally know the director of LifeWise. I know her integrity, her family. I've known her for a long time, and I really have faith in this program. And so that's why I came to speak. I know you said it was already approved, but I'm like, man, I made talking points and everything. So that's me, but I will give you a minute and 45 seconds left. But I appreciate the community that's come out to support this. Just absolute fantastic turnout, and really love this community. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Emma Ratliff.
She was happy with what you had to say, so she doesn't.
Okay. All right, and Leah O'Reilly. Leah, oh, thank you. And you've heard it, but I'll say it again. Your name, your address, any group affiliation. You'll have 5 minutes. Mr. Jones keeps the time, and he'll let you know if and when you get near the end.
Good evening, all. My name is Leah O'Reilly. I live at 64 Roman Court Southwest, Etna, and I'm a parent in the school district. My oldest is a senior in high school, and my youngest will be entering kindergarten in a couple years. My husband was a Marine Corps veteran, and we decided to settle in Etna, and part of the reason is the school district. Before I get into the issues I have with the release time for religion instruction, I want to thank the board for the emphasis in the proposed RTRI policy on these programs not interfering with learning, making sure there isn't pressure to join, and the overall safety of our students being first and foremost. I do, however, still have major concerns. Having previously worked in education, some of my concerns focus on how the disruption, even being gone from just lunch and recess, will affect students and school classes as a whole. If these students do not get the opportunity to truly eat their lunch on those days or get out their energy at recess, how will that reflect to the classroom? Studies overwhelmingly show that nutrition, exercise, and unstructured time are important to a child's development. And I know there are those here that are thinking LifeWise is only 1 day a week. It's not a big deal, but it is about 36 days in a full school year that would be affected with a single RTRI program. What happens if other RTRI programs, like school ministries or even the Satanic Temple's Hail, were to get enough support to start in this school district? Will they all be restricted to the same day of the week? Would they be spread out? How are teachers expected to cope with that much disruption in a day? How would this not create more work for school employees along with the distraction? I also have concerns about how compliance of any MOUs will be monitored. Will LifeWise and any other organization be required to provide proof of live scans and appropriate background checks? When I asked our local LifeWise chapter on Facebook if they did live scan as part of their background check, they blocked me instead of answering. And I know the background checks the organization does do not include a fingerprint requirement, which is honestly kind of disconcerting considering some of the past issues that have come up with that program in other areas. Obviously, we have not had that issue here. As an earlier individual mentioned, I too believe that if an RTRI is to be implemented, it should be held to the same background check requirements as the school district will require of their own employees and volunteers. There have also been issues with staff in this district and others violating state and federal law by promoting LifeWise in email and otherwise. The policy would make it a violation to promote a RTRI, but how would the district stop students or RTRI volunteers and staff from doing so effectively? What are the consequences if the MOU is violated? So I'm asking the board to think of the consequences of how multiple RTRI programs could affect our schools and how any RTRI policies will truly be enforced. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, request to speak. Teamsters Local 413. Southwest Licking Education Association. Need a motion of approval of the September 19th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. Motion to approve the financial report.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Jones?
Included on agenda is the executive summary for September 30th. You can see now we have estimates. It's only been 1 month. We are running very well. Our revenues are higher than we expected. Expenditures are lower. Fairly routine month. You know, we did have one correction to payroll, not payroll, but our property tax settlement. The county auditor made a mistake and we had to switch some money around. Net effect was 0, but we had to put some money out of the general fund into debt service. That's where it should have went. So just a correction by the Lincoln County auditor. But other than that, it was a very routine month, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Zani?
Yes.
Mrs. Engel?
Yes. Let's see, personnel consent calendar, items A through K, motion to approve one or all of those?
Motion to approve A through K.
Second.
There's nothing significant this time.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Zani?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mrs. Engel?
Yes. Motion to approve 8A, B, personnel volunteer?
Motion to approve 8A and B.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Zani?
Yes.
Mrs. Engel?
Abstain. All right, business items, 9A through F. Do you want one or all of those?
A motion 9A. Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, so I was sharing with some people that talked to me about this. My biggest concern here, and I heard that the community members and teacher, everything, talk about how we're a great community and everything like that. I think that we need to add in here somehow to prove that we will not use taxpayer funds. I know it says it in here, but the reality is we know we're gonna. We've seen it already. So is there some way that we can add in that will capture the amount, rough amount, and then this is for all religious entities, that we can go back to the community and say we are not using taxpayer money for this, for any religious entity that does the release time. Is there a way that we can put in here that we will ask for reimbursement? Then we can go to the community and clearly say no tax dollars were used because we were reimbursed. I don't know if there is. I don't either, because I don't know how do you put a dollar amount on the time it takes Mr. Pratt to send an email and however many, and because I know someone was thanking him for the hard work, but ultimately there shouldn't be any work by this district because of the taxpayer dollars. But how do you define that?
Well, and I know that we have one entity that's in here right now, but I'm thinking big picture.
Right.
If somebody comes in, like we heard the Satanic Temple, and our community finds out that we're using taxpayer dollars for the Satanic Temple, how is that going to go over? We'll get killed.
Do we want to take a look at the amount of time during the trial period and see the significance of that impact, and then maybe at that point have a conversation on how to go about, if it's appropriate, if it's significant enough to make a difference, how to add it into the policy at that time?
Well, I don't even know what we would define as significant. I think any kind of idea of what it is. And it might be, $50, it might be $500. But we've got to be able to go back out to the community and say, no public funds were used.
I mean, I can get behind.
I'm okay with that, but I don't know how you do that. I don't know what that looks like. Does that make sense? Is that?
I'm not sure either.
Because the issue is for us to monetize how much time, then we've directed an employee to take their time to see how much we monetize their time.
Add that time in.
You have, right, that's
as
right.
well.
Yes, so that's
But,
what I mean.
You've got, not only is it just the, administrative time, every week when those kids, I assume will sign out at the office before they leave. And
They'll have to be
those
checked out,
sign-outs
yes.
have to be logged by somebody that's not, that's an employee, so that would have to be added in. So that to me would be, we know exactly how many kids, or we would.
Right.
And we could you could take on day one, it took me 15 minutes to sign these kids in and out and then back in. And then you divide 15 by their hourly pay and times that by 36 days a year, and that's the amount for that piece.
Right.
I mean, I see where everyone's coming from on both sides, but you could do it that way if that's something we wanted to do.
Are we talking strictly in terms of labor? Is that what we're defining as cost? Or are there other things that
I don't
fit
think
that definition?
There should not be anything else.
Because
that I can
that,
think-
in
that I can
my
think
mind,
of.
is the only piece that,
And once the program starts, Mr. Pratt really shouldn't have to be sending any
the
communications.
schools that I've seen this
but he did
in,
initially.
I've not seen a lot of.
I mean, it should be hands-off.
Of
That's
that.
the whole point,
Right.
is it should be 100% hands-off.
My original comment was it's absolutely parallel programming. Our scheduling, nothing that we do is dictated by LifeWise. They exist.
Any religious entity.
Yeah.
We're not, any religious
any
entity.
religious entity, going back to this policy. It's not, they but they fit what they're doing within the realm of our scheduling and our existence, which is, kind of, to my understanding, what has happened here because with Aetna, Wiz, all the kids aren't eligible to be able to go because of just the way the scheduling is, and that's
correct.
That in my mind is what parallel is. They have what we have, and they're working with that. So, but the schools that I've seen it in, that I've been in, I didn't see a lot of labor going into it. At one school, I may have seen an aide corralling the kids in the common area before the kids left, but that was about it. So I don't know how we define that, but I'm just, based on my firsthand experience, what I've seen, it doesn't seem like it would be that much or more than, say, what you would do for a field trip. Not that I'm not saying LifeWise or this religious entity is a field trip. I'm just saying I don't see how it could be much more than that, especially if the ball is rolling. It's going to be going weekly, so I don't know. That to me is, but I don't know in terms of semantics how that would be encapsulated in something like this.
I mean, I don't anticipate it to be significant, but until we try it, I honestly don't know. So I don't know, and I won't live that data, week to week. So that will be something that will have to come from the intermediate to the board.
Is that data that we would be able to get, or do you think that would be?
No, I think it would be easy to figure out how many minutes a day it takes to check the kids out, or.
Okay.
But don't we check out kids now every day? So how do you? Where's that point where it becomes LifeWise and us?
Yeah, that's the
where I
thing.
think it's
mean,
going to be hard to
If
distinguish.
I come in for a doctor's appointment, or I come in to take 3 kids out for whatever, you have to check them in and out. Anyway, correct. So I'm with Mr. Jones a little bit on that as
Yeah, just got to figure out where that point is.
What is that
Where's
point?
that point?
No, I know.
How to do the math.
Yeah, I understand. Or if kids are being unruly in the hallway, then I want an aide or a teacher to step in and say, knock it off. I don't care where they're going. I still want that teacher to step in and say, knock it off. So I'm not, I want it to be parallel. I want it to not, I think the disruption thing is a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, sketchy in and of itself, because the amount of disruption that goes on in a school day. I mean, every time you take a kid out for OT or speech or reading groups, or we're going to take 3 to lunch, or we're not going to do this. I mean, I think that disruption is kind of a funny word for a school, but I think we need to try it, and if it does not work with the WIS, then we say, I'm sorry, no thank you, this did not work for this building. That's just my opinion.
And then if number 8, the yearly permission slip is required, that basically counts as the sign in and sign out, correct?
like each week? No, they're gonna have to,
Okay.
not, that permission slip saying you can participate in the program doesn't count as your sign out.
Okay.
There has to be an accountability, no, they're leaving the building.
I think that was so that you, as a parent, your kid wouldn't automatically be re-enrolled year after year after year. That if you want your child to go this year, you have to sign the permission slip for this year. If you want them to go again next year as a 5th grader, you would need to sign it again next year. That was kind of our intention with that, correct?
Because in my mind, I just saw this sort of like, if I wanted to sign my kid out for lunch, that's what I'm doing, and they're coming back in.
It was clearly a bad example.
But no, I mean, but in my mind, that's what this is. This is me as a parent deciding and making a choice. And as that choice, I'm signing my kid out, and then I'm signing them back in. To me, that's like taking my kid out to lunch, and this is just running parallel to that.
Take your kid out to lunch.
No, I'm just using that as an example.
Well, your example was good, just where's that minute, we gotta figure out where that minute, when's the school responsibility end, LifeWise take over?
Yeah.
When's our responsibility start again? As soon as we
Well,
walk through the doors, sign in, sign out?
Mrs. Moore's suggestion about putting something in the policy, I kind of feel like we could do this math, I just keep calling it math, and then adjust. Can we not open the policy after the trial if we were to continue?
You can change the policy often if
And
you
then
want on
add
the board.
that in,
yeah.
once we know, what that
Looks
is,
like,
and what that looks like. Because I think there's just a lot of unknowns at this point as to how much time and resource would be utilized. And if any, well, obviously, there's at least a little bit, but, and then once the trial is over, should we continue, we can just add that bullet in. I was just trying to wrap the conversation. I don't know, that's my suggestion.
I mean, I would say just from my perspective, when I read this over, I felt it was pretty encompassing of things. I think there's always room for addition if need be, but I feel like there's enough here that my mind is at ease that this could easily get started. I'm comfortable with that.
Right. I'm thinking big picture. I'm thinking umbrella, because we know that there's going to be others that come down the road. How are we going to be prepared for that? This in this current situation, it might not be that much time, but there might be a different entity that comes in that is trying to use time. And we know that there's other people that in our community that are not for it. How do we keep everything above board?
Yeah, when you talk big picture, you have to keep reminding yourself the policy is for any
Yes.
entity.
Big
and
picture.
Yeah,
100%.
whatever math we do may not be the same. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but we probably should have some kind of consistent language in there.
Correct.
Okay, we have some suggestions, we have some ways to address it, we have a motion on the table. Is anybody else? Mr. Jones?
Sorry. Mrs. Moore?
No.
Mrs. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Ziny?
Yes.
Mrs. Engel?
Yes. All right, we have 9B through F, if there are any one or all of those.
Motion 9B through F.
Second.
So I was going to kind of run through each one.
Yes, please.
And give just a brief summary, and then if you have a question about any of them, just stop me as we go. So the first, policy, political commitments, it addresses, it's a new policy, and it addresses will not have staff or students be required to share their individual beliefs. So it doesn't prevent them from having academic freedom, whether that's teachers and or students, writing about it, researching about it. But as far as being required to share or offering opinions on that particular side, that is not allowed. So that is a new policy. The next, go ahead, sorry.
That was a required policy through
Yes,
ORC,
that was
correct?
required,
And that's
correct.
why that this has come up. This was not something we created.
No, this
I
is
just-
not a district created policy. This is Ohio Revised Code, correct. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So then we have a couple on fraud reporting. So the first one, acknowledgement of receipt of auditor of state fraud. It's saying that employees and elected officials, that would include obviously the board, must complete their training within 90 days of the specified date from the auditor. And then you go down to, and just stop me again.
Is that the training we all just did?
Yes.
That's what I'm going to stop you. If anybody has not done the training that HR
Yes,
forwarded
that's
you about,
required by law.
You have to require, it's required by law, and with it being a new policy, there is a very large chance we will get audited for that policy. So please make sure, as board members, you do both pieces of that training.
Should we send our certificates to Rick?
You probably get copies of them.
Yeah, we know who's
I
done it.
sent
Yeah,
mine
there's
to
a list.
Tanya.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, you can if you want to, but we should be able to pull it down also.
Okay. The next two policies are being deleted, and they're being replaced with policy EBCE, which is protection for reporting safety and fraud again. So this is employees are provided with materials for training related to fraud reporting. New employees and board members must acknowledge receipt of those within 30 days, and then they must take the training every 4 years. So it'll be on a 4-year cycle. So that is that one. And then we have, why is that on the board, Jeff? You what? Not now.
Not yet, but keep it there.
Yeah, not
No,
now.
we're still on B.
Roll down back. We're not there yet.
I asked him to bring it up, but yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, it's all kind of one browser, so.
That's okay. Okay. You guys are leaving the most exciting part, the policies. I mean, this is my shining moment. What is happening? Okay. Where am I at? All right. Another exciting fraud policy. EBCE-R, timely notification to the fraud system if they become aware of fraud. So that's just a district's responsibility if we become aware of fraud to report it. DJC, bidding requirements, which actually I'm very happy about this. They've changed the competitive threshold bidding. They've raised it from 50 to 75,000 with an annual increase of 3%. So this will help us with some large projects, for example, the upcoming rugby project, so things like that. So it'll make our life a little easier. Purchasing, DJ gives the superintendent treasurer ability to enter into contracts up to $50,000 with ratification by the board at the next meeting. So this will be extremely helpful. For example, our students that are outside placed, it will not stop us from allowing them to receive their appropriate education while we wait for another board meeting. So that's the intent of why this policy has been changed. IGD, co-curricular and extracurricular, and this is the same as IGDJ below, interscholastic athletics. So this is permitting, actually I'm gonna bounce back and come back because all these things are gonna talk about the same policy. So now I've probably really confused you. I'm gonna skip down to JEDC. Okay, this is religious expression days. This is a new policy, again, required by ORC. So this policy allows parents to submit 3 specific dates that their child will be absent from school for religious expression. This will have to be done within 14 days of the start of the school year or 14 days from when the child enrolls in the district. And the approved list, there will be an approved list given to us by the DO or the Department of Education and Workforce with all the holidays that will be on that approved list. So a couple of the above policies are going to reference this. So new policy, 3 excused days for religious expression based on the list and must be submitted within 14 days, start of school and/or start of that child in the district. Okay. So now if you go back to,
Wait,
go ahead,
this
Kathy.
is a really stupid question.
No, there's no
and
such thing.
Does that get renewed automatically for the life of the child in the district, or do they have to submit a list every year?
No, it'll be annually. Yep.
Okay.
Because the holidays could
Yep.
change.
Oh, right.
The holidays.
Why is the 14 days there?
I have no idea. A legislator probably thought that was a great idea.
Right.
But it is helpful, honestly, because I don't know how sustainability-wise, as far as our administrative assistants in the building trying to keep track of parents submitting this holiday. It's got to be, here's your list. If you're missing 3 days, submit it within the 2 weeks. We'll put information out about it. They'll have the list. If not, I think it'd be very cumbersome. Just another added task on those individuals in the building. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but
Since we're adopting, this is new, right? Brand
it's a new policy, yes.
Will they be able to do like the rest of this year, I assume?
This isn't, it'll start next year.
Oh, okay.
And if you as a parent want your child to not come to school for
whatever
reason, you just don't bring them to school and call them
Yeah,
in
it's the same.
absent.
I mean,
So it's not overriding any of that. It just doesn't, this is an excuse.
Yeah, and it gives you some exemptions. So
Yep.
there's like that's what the IGD and IGDJ are, the co-curricular and interscholastic. So if you are participating in activities and you're out for a religious expression day, you're able to participate. So now if you miss a certain portion, you can't play your sport or band, but now they'll be able to do that. So that's. Oh, do you want? Is there anything else on the first one before I'm going to go on?
No, I guess my only question would be, if I don't meet the 14-day deadline, does that mean I'm done?
It means that you're not going to qualify for those 3 days,
Okay.
but as a parent, like Mrs. Engel said, you have your right to do as you please.
Just maybe unexcused versus
They would-
excused.
Correct.
But we will communicate that at the
100%.
beginning of the school year. Okay.
Yes. So that's part of this IGD is the first part about getting approval for those release days and being permitted to participate in activities. But the other thing that's also new, and this applies for both athletics and extracurriculars, non-resident students, so students outside of our district, may be authorized by the superintendent to participate in sports and or other related activities if the student is home educated, so homeschooled, or attending a non-public, community, or STEM school, and was subject to harassment, intimidation, or bullying. Now, the caveat with that is the offense would have to qualify the individual that the alleged person that had done the harassment would have to have been charged, and or if it was a teacher, have a violation of the Code of Professional Conduct. So you can't just say, I'm being bullied, I'm going to go play football for Watkins. It doesn't work that way. So
Unless you're really fast.
I mean, and then no. So yeah, so you can't, there has to be some things in place to back that up.
The way that was read makes me confused.
So basically, if you don't live in our district and you attend, and you're not attending another public school, you're homeschooled.
Okay, got it. Never
yeah,
mind.
Okay. So then you can participate in our activities if you have documentation through either a charge or code of or a violation.
Kind of follows the NCAA allowed to play right away if you've been bullied kind of thing.
So I'm sure that would be very infrequent, if any, but. So that's IGD and IGDJ. JECBC, admission of students from non-chartered or home education. Students receiving home education must be enrolled in the district for a minimum of 16 credits to be selected as valedictorian or salutatorian. So I think that's a positive thing as well. JED, student absences and excuses. You may be excused for the 3 religious expression days. So that's just an addition. Deposit of public funds. This addresses we cannot charge different prices for cash or credit. This does not include the fees. So currently we take care of those as a district anyways, but if it ever came to a point where we put them on the person buying that, we could do that. So no processing fees count, but cash and charge same amount. EBBA is first aid, making sure an AED is in every school building and with an emergency action plan, which our HR director takes care of with Deputy Brill. GCD, GCDA, GDD, classified staff recruiting, and this is the same for staff hiring below GCD, which is certified. If there's an urgency to rehire staff, you can do so within 30 days instead of the 60-day notice. So currently retired rehires. Also, they've added a thing in there about no notice has to be given if the employee has been retired for more than 1 year or more. School year and school calendar, they've added on a public hearing on a school calendar, which typically we do as our board meeting. It can be separate, it can be individual, which I'm not sure how it's different than separate, but anyhow, or part of another meeting with the board. So we already do that, so that doesn't really change what we're doing. Truancy, again, back to the religious expression days, those hours are not included in truancy, so when the letters go home, they'll be exempt. I already addressed religious expression days, and then reporting child abuse and mandatory training, they've added in AED training under the mandatory trainings. Okay, any other? I know, I mean, geez. So those are the policies for first reading.
And then the policy for second
Oh.
reading is the general revenue.
Yeah, it's cash
that-
balance, yes. Yep.
Mr. Jones discussed last.
And then the public library, that's just the replacement board members. Okay, can you pull up the South Fork? That's probably what Rick had you pull up, Jeff. Thank you. And do we have the pictures too?
Yeah, going down the pictures.
I can't see that, Rick. So well, I can see that, but.
So it is just so you know, this is the quote. This is the rendition of the playground. We're asking the board to approve this for tests out for a cost of $421,000. We just wanted you to see what the rendition looks like, and we thought it all looked really, really nice.
Is there a site map?
Not
Like
on
where-
this, but yeah.
Where will,
It's on the.
remind me, I've seen it before.
It's on the back west side of the building, so
Like close
Towards
to
the pack-
close to
development?
the soccer
Towards
practice
practice
field.
soccer field.
Gotcha.
It's gonna be right next to it and part of it. The
Yeah.
swings will be on, and more on the old soccer practice
Okay.
field. Plus, there'll be a lot of paved area too for, like all the other schools have. But
And is there paving from the building to the playground?
yes,
100%. You can roll a wheelchair all the way
Yep.
down. Okay.
And there will be a fence around it as well.
that I
No.
don't know.
There will not be a fence around it at this time, no. We don't have a fence around.
There's not a fence around any of
Kirk
the
or
other
no.
ones.
I just wondered that with that area being as high traffic as it is with sports after school and whatnot, if a fence might be.
I mean, we can see how it goes, play by ear.
I mean, I may be the only one that has that opinion. I don't know. I'm just, I
Obviously, you
wondered.
don't want it tore up, yeah.
I wondered that about just from a safety perspective, because that is a high traffic area. And our buses fill up there, just as kind of a measure
Well,
of
the buses
protection.
are, that's pretty
Well,
removed from the
I'm
buses.
just saying that whole complex area.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have like multiple staff members outside with them, like when they're outside on the playground.
I get it. I'm thinking of in terms of like, let's say we have a runner. Like, you know what I mean? There's a barrier, there's some, it's not going to completely stop them, but it's going to slow them down. I don't know. I just, to me, when I looked at that, the lack of a fence was bothersome to me. And that may be something that it's just me. You guys might feel differently. But
I would like to go over there and visually look where the playground's gonna be before I would make a determination one way or the other on that. I do understand the high traffic nature of the area, so I do understand.
Is your concern that it's going to get torn up, or?
that, and just kind of out of safety, I mean, because if it, I mean, there's not a lot of traffic back there, but
So it's more of a traffic, like actual car traffic concerns?
And children running out perhaps in front
Kids,
of car traffic.
right.
concern is
Okay,
the
because
shift.
I was like, if we aren't gonna put a fence around the one that's right next to a golf course, that's more concerning to me than,
Yeah, it's pretty far away from traffic, so you gotta run across the whole building, so.
I don't know. I just something I,
Yeah, that's what I would like.
But
I'd
I
like to
get
see
the
where
traffic.
The visual would be better, go out there and look at it,
That's,
see what you're
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, it's pretty far away, but I would like to look at it before I would make a determination on how I would feel about other things.
okay.
I mean, that's okay. So
I
maybe.
mean, there's plenty of time if
Yeah,
that was,
yeah,
if needed to add on.
Okay.
For sure.
And then lastly is a contract for a student placement. If you have questions, Dan can answer those.
It's
These are
actually two
filled
students.
positions.
2 students, so there you go.
Well, this all made for some light reading this week at lunch.
Yeah.
I will say though on this contract, the very last page, they have it down as being signed by Candy Eagle.
I did see that, we'll have to.
So,
Well, I can fix that, I know,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can fix that.
just for the sake of,
Yeah. I saw that too.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if I'm allowed to sign that if it's not.
all right, thank you.
Perfect. All
You're
right.
gonna fly away, aren't you?
That's it. All right, Mr. Jones.
Alrighty. So Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. Those all pass. Item 10, treasurer's items, A through D. A with thank you. Can we get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Wow, this is the most important part of the agenda. Golly. So again, first one is donations. We always appreciate those. Thank you. B is our amendment certificate of extra resources and permanent appropriations for FY25. So one thing that's a little different on this year is I do have in the budget $5 million set back for potential parking lots, restrooms. We're hoping that once the construction projects are done, they're closed out, we have money left over. But you can't do that till it's all done. And if we're gonna move forward, I need to know I have money somewhere. So the idea is we have to pay for it out of the general fund. If there's money left over, potentially reimburse the general fund or use it on another project. But I did include that so that we had the money for the restrooms. We have to do that. Talk about doing demo of the middle school, possibly putting a parking lot there. It's just money I need to know that we have set aside. If we don't need it, we won't use it. It'll just carry over to next year. So it's a 1-year expenditure only, so it doesn't kill us if we have to spend it and don't get reimbursed. But I have it in there.
Is that enough?
I don't know. I hope so. $5 million is a lot of money, but I know the restrooms is $500,000 on the athletic building around there, restroom parking lot. So I'd leave about still $4.5 million for any asphalt. Again, I won't know until we start getting some prices.
Right.
And if it's not, I'll have to come back to the board and say, hey, here's the estimate. You'll have to approve it anyway, and we'll say, hey, we're gonna need to increase the budget as well. So, but that at least gives us a start. Hoping we don't need it. There'll be money out there from project, but if not, we know we have some set aside. Statement of purposes, just additional ones that came in from between the meetings, and then the last one's inventory deletions for last school year, equipment that we've got rid of, school bus and so forth. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. Superintendent's comments.
Okay, let's start with some exciting things. So 2 things to share, and I'm sure Melissa will be putting this information out soon later too to the public, but we've had 2 staff members who have received grants. Mackenzie Spurlock received a small grant from the Licking County retired teachers for $200, and that'll be utilized to support a dramatic play cabinet at Kirk to benefit K-1 students for their guidance lessons. So I thought that was exciting to share. And then Rebecca Holloway secured a $5,000 grant from the Ohio STEM Learning Network, and she'll be using that for our Lego robotics for elementary students. So
awesome.
that's a really both exciting grants for our kids. This has been last week. Heights is on a break this week, a fall break. The kids and the teachers part of the week, and so we did the canned food drive last week. So Aaron Miller has always been kind of led that at the high school, and last year was the first time that we kind of all jumped in as a district, and so we beat Heights last year. We had 7,400 canned goods, and we beat them like handily. It wasn't even close. So this year when we had over 12,000, I don't know the exact amount. I literally principals are texting me, we have 10 more. I was like, it's fine. We have crushed Heights. Well, we did not crush Heights. I think they've cheated somehow. I haven't figured out how, but I've told their superintendent, you somehow cheated. I don't know how, but they had over 15,000.
Wow. Good for them.
I don't know how they went from losing last year to 715,000, but so we lost the canned food drive. That was kind of sad, but you have to look at 27,000 cans for our food pantries.
For the community.
Yeah, and they even said if it continues to be that big, we're going to have to share all of those donations with other entities as well, because it's so much for those 2 food pantries. So this is a good problem. It's not although losing always stinks. Then we went to the spaghetti dinner, and they beat us in the spaghetti eating contest. I was not a participant, although we would not have won if I participated anyways, but I'm just saying. They beat our kids, beat them there. They beat us in the tip jar. Oh, Dr. Miller was really rubbing that in. So then there was that. And then what else? Oh, they're beating us in the blood drive. So it's all going to come down to tomorrow night.
When's the blood drive over?
I don't even know. I'm not sure about that. So it's all coming down to tomorrow night, and that's what I told Dr. Miller is going to really matter. No pressure to our football coach. So the coaches spoke at Rotary this morning, kind of shared, the excitement for the game tomorrow night. That will be televised as well as on the radio. So if you can attend and you want to watch or tune in. So I'm really hoping it's not a clean sweep. Because if it is, when we present to the chamber, Dr. Miller will be rubbing that in. So I anticipate that. And I said, that's okay. I'm ready next year. I've already got ideas in my head. But so it's a good thing, all the canned goods, but they continue to beat us this year. So I don't know what that's all about. But So that's that. I also wanted to share that the redistricting, the plan for the South Fork will be shared at the November staff meeting. Wilpert will be here. We've had to, I was hoping to be able to share some updates tonight, but we've had to kind of go back to the drawing board a couple of times. It's amazing when you move one neighborhood, how it shifts the pendulum for numbers, and trying to decrease some staffing so we can have some more free space at Etna that's already at capacity at Kirk, and then move them to South Fork, which is our bigger 800 kid elementary. So just really trying to take some last minute fine tuning, but as promised to the community, that will be out in November. So we'll present in November, and then we'll be able to have something on the website where they'll be able to figure out where their kid will go to school. Initially, when I had shared, we were about 100 kids that would be impacted. We're about up to 130 now. But honestly, when you take a look at it in different neighborhoods, I think to those families in those neighborhoods, it will make sense to go to South Fork. They're closer. It's just because Kirkersville, it's just less densely populated, and so we have to kind of widespread those going to that building. So that will be coming in November. Oh, let's see. I wanted to share a little update on Senate Bill 29. I don't know if you've been reading about or listening to Senate Bill 29. So the focus on this bill was to enhance data privacy for students, to prohibit kind of our technology providers from selling or sharing student data. The problem is when they initially put it together, they made this notice where parents would have to be notified within 72 hours of any trigger. So, for example, a teacher goes into a grade book to put a grade in. Teachers goes into Google Classroom to grade a paper. You have to alert that parent. So, obviously, BASA got involved. Superintendents, and they were like, you can't do that.
Parents aren't going to want that.
That's not,
No.
Well, right, parents are going to stop reading emails, and that's not even a feasible task to ask. So legal, along with BASA, are working on now. There's been some new information coming out with the Senate bill, a way for districts to give parents that notification and let them know if it's a serious offense, life-threatening, safety, we'll comply with federal laws, it's part of state funding or programs, you're going to get a notification. Otherwise, those sort of things, you're going to get a one-stop shop notification. So currently, legal is working on that because all of this must go out by October 24th. So it's a very aggressive timeline. All of these conversations and meetings have been taking place the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to make sure the board was aware of what's going in place. The goal is to put security standards in place so we're protecting our students' data, which I don't think anybody would agree is a bad idea. It's a good idea. So that's the goal of the Senate bill. So there will be information coming out in the next coming few days as legal works through how we're going to communicate that with our families. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. But I did want to share in case you're hearing things. There's a lot of conversation and discussions and disagreements on that Senate bill. And then lastly, two things actually with I'm going to take one of these, Roger, and pass it out. And then I'm passing around. You want to pull up my compass, Jeff, please? Thank you. I'm sharing two things with you. One will be my compass. Two is a brochure for Bridge Academy. So I'll do the compass first, and then we'll go through the Bridge Academy. So at the top is obviously our beloved Pataskala Elementary. So when this is shared out with the community, it'll let them know that in the fall, this will be repurposed under the new name Pataskala Bridge Academy. Currently, the district serves over 1,100 students with disabilities. This new school will allow our students with complex needs who receive their education outside of our home district to return to our school community. So I think this is very exciting, and we're happy to be sharing that, which also goes hand in hand with the brochure that John and Sherry have put together, kind of what the Bridge Academy is about, who they'll be servicing. This is one of the resources they'll utilize when going out to talk to not only our families, but local entities that will be supporting and working with our kids at this school. So I wanted to share this as well because this is, they're going to start to really make those, have those meetings and start working with different local entities they probably already have and building relationships to kick off Bridge Academy next year. And then you want to scroll that up for me, Jeff, please? Thank you. At the left, just to kind of let you know, within the next 6 years, 70% of our grade levels will have over 400 students. in their respective graduating class. And then on the right is another subdivision. So the ponds at Hazelton Crossing. So currently they're on phase 1 of this 153 home subdivision on Refugee Road. So it's interesting to note that this subdivision is part of a larger development on the corner. So I've put on the right side, it's going to be retail, commercial, assisted living, condominiums, and 51 acres for single family homes. So this is just phase 1 of what's more to come on Route 310 and Refugee. So we'll put this information out by Monday to share with our community. So, are there any questions or comments or?
This is phenomenal.
Well, that's not me, that's John back there and Sherry Morgan as well. Okay, Sherry Morgan.
No, not
Just the school in general?
Yes, not just the brochure,
No.
the school in general. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And that's it for me.
We need a motion to adjourn into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee.
Motion 12AB. Or
Second.
12A.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. We are in executive session at 7:51. We are back from executive session at 8:08. Mr. Jones, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Spindler, Mr. Vincent,
Here.
Mr. Zani,
Here.
Mrs. Engel.
Here. And continue, we need a motion for 13A adjournment, please.
Motion adjournment.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Zani,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes, we are adjourned at 8:08 p.m.